sometimes on the SCG Tour. He's playing Blue Moon. I'll tell you, this is the deck he's been playing ever since Pro Tour Born of the Gods when it first premiered.
Yeah, Hipp is a really big Blue Moon guy. There's kind of a small Blue Moon contingent in Minnesota.
It's interesting. I'll say what, I don't get it.
I don't either. I play these colors and I don't get it.
Hipp, turn 1. Steam Vents into play. Untapped, he'll go to 18. For Joshua Carlson, it is an Inquisition of Kozilek. We see Lightning Bolt, main deck Dispel, Remand, Blood Moon, and Thing in the Ice. Now, one thing you gotta know about Ryan, you see these cards like Dispel, Blood Moon in the main deck. He and Jeff Hoagland work together. They're much deck builders. He's a very big fan of high impact, kind of like gotcha cards in the main deck. Things like main deck Dispel, main deck Blood Moon, stuff like main deck Shadow of Doubt. These are things that you really should come to expect from Ryan.
Ryan Hipp likes to play an obscure deck built an obscure way, is the best way to put it. He's not just playing Blue Moon, which is a deck you don't see a ton of. He's playing his build of Blue Moon.
Yeah, 1 Burst Lightning, 2 Think Twice, 1 main deck Dispel, things like 2 main deck Thing in the Ice.
Yeah, Thing in the Ice, the new tool from Shadows over at Innistrad. I'm excited to see how this shakes up in Modern. I haven't been convinced of the power level just yet, but we'll see how it works out here.
Joshua Carlson, to no one's surprise, selected Blood Moon from Ryan's hand.
Yeah, that's really good against John. Even with basic Swamp, there's a lot of non-basic lands in this deck.
And Ryan will play a turn 2 Thing in the Ice. This is the rare from Shadows over Innistrad. Ryan's deck does a very good job of taking the counters off this, the ice counters, and turning it into a 7/8. Now, against a deck that's all kill spells, I'm not sure that this matters. I feel like it'll just die.
I saw a die set to 4, and I got excited that there was an Ancestral Vision.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Blue cards with the die on it. Wait.
This is a lot less exciting than Ancestral Vision.
All right. We'll see what the follow-up is for Carlson here. Fetching for Blood Crypt. He'll take 3 for that one, go to 17. No green mana just yet. Looks like it will be Terminate for Thing in the Ice. All right.
Yeah, knows that there's a Dispel in Hipp's hand, gets that while the shields are down.
And Ryan, what a top deck here. He top decks Blood Moon for the turn.
Well, if that's the card that our opponent hit with their discard spell, I have to imagine that we want to play it here.
That's exactly what I would have wanted to see in Ryan's spot. Here's Blood Moon, and that could win him the game.
Notably, both players have the same number of basic lands in play currently. So typically, Blue Moon tries to leverage the fact that they have a bunch of basic islands. Hipp's still operating on just 1.
Big penalty here for Josh Carlson. He did get his Swamp out before the Blood Moon hit, but he didn't get a Forest out. He'll have to find the basic Forest and Abrupt Decay away the Blood Moon.
Yeah, and that fetch land, I believe that was a Verdant Catacombs that he used earlier. That could have found a basic Forest.
Can't terminate off it, though.
That's also true.
Goes ahead and casts a Thoughtseize, takes the copy of Lightning Bolt out of Ryan's hand. And Josh will start playing Mountains. Now we get to the point where they trade Mountains back and forth for a while.
Yeah, Raging Mountain enters the battlefield tapped.
Raging Mountain. That sounds like a great Magic card. Dark Confidant here for Carlson, and he's clearing the way. Now he knows that Ryan has a Remand, and Ryan does play that one. And Twilight Mountain will be into play. Ryan drew a copy of Batterskull off the Remand. Or actually not Batterskull, Vidalcan Shackles. So go ahead and make that play. Now, he's only got 1 island in play.
Batterskull would have been a tremendous pickup.
Yeah, that would be lights out.
Vidalcan Shackles can't yet gain control of any of the creatures out of the Jund deck.
So if you're Joshua, do you want to run out this Dark Confidant? If Ryan just has another basic island, it's a disaster.
The tell is that Hipp shocked to cast Blood Moon on turn 3.
So he doesn't have basic? You're right.
You would have to top deck it.
Well, he's been top decking some good stuff. The turn 3 Blood Moon followed by Shackles. That's all come off the top. I feel like the discard spells didn't work this game.
No, not entirely.
Back over to Hipp. He'll play Snapcaster Mage. And flashback that Lightning Bolt, taking care of Dark Confidant. Bolt from Carlson, yeah, he's got plenty of mountains. He'll take care of the Snapcaster.
Yeah, mana for that one, not difficult to come by.
So if Carlson finds the Forest, then he's okay, right? Oh, maybe.
You can start casting spells. The question is, how many islands is Hipp drawing, and does Carlson have an Abrupt Decay to deal with either of these 3 mana permanents?
Hipp does have 8 basic islands in his deck. You see him now casting Think Twice on end step, trying to get some more of those islands. There's one of them.
That was a really good pickup. Now Dark Confidant, the only real non-red spell that Carlson can cast here, can be controlled by the Shackles. Interesting to note, Jund has moved away from Abrupt Decay a little bit. At this stage in the game, we're kind of past that, but there's only 2 copies in the main deck for Carlson.
He'll pass. Ryan will flash back, think twice. Okay, so those are the only ways, and then a 1 Maelstrom Pulse. That's what he can do against Blood Moon.
Right.
Players just going to trade some cards back and forth. Ryan flashing back some think twices. With 2 basic islands, you feel like Ryan is pulling away.
He's in the driver's seat right now. There's no question about that.
1 basic forest in Carlson's deck. No way to go get it. Ryan will start with the burn plan. He'll electrolyze Carlson down to 13. And there's Batterskull for Hipp. That may be the beginning of the end. Makes a germ token.
That ought to lock things up. Carlson does have the ability to cast a Terminate if there's one in hand, but that will only take care of the germ temporarily. Batterskull, of course, can return to Hipp's hand. You can cast it again, get another living weapon germ token.
Back over to Carlson. And that'll be it. Game 1 over to Ryan Hipp on Blue Moon.
So this matchup, I believe, significantly actually favors Jund. There's not that many cards that they really care about of the Blue Moon deck, but once the Blood Moon's on the table, that changes everything.
Yeah, I can tell you one card they care about.
Yes.
Ryan played it. And if Ryan can draw it on turn 3, that's Jund doesn't have many answers to that.
That Blood Moon off the top was everything.
Yeah, I mean, and it was just also the turn it was on. Given 1 more turn, Carlson could have fetched out a forest. Things would have been fine. Yep. He had the Thoughtseize for the first Blood Moon. It was really, I feel like there was a 1-turn window, but boy, did that work. We'll go over to the sideboard. Let's start with Joshua Carlson's Jund deck. He's got a Grim Lavamancer, a Thoughtseize, 2 Ancient Grudges, 2 Fulminator Mages, an Anger of the Gods, a Painful Truth, a Jund Charm, a Kitchen Finks, a Bobsy Baloth, a Thrun the Last Troll, a Shatterstorm, a Knight of Souls Betrayal, and a Damnation. So let's assume right now that he can use his Abrupt Decays and Thoughtseize to keep Blood Moon off the table, because obviously that's priority number 1.
Yeah.
What's the rest of his game plan? What does he board in then?
So he brings in the extra Thoughtseize to keep fighting that access, stop that Blood Moon from coming down. 2 copies of Ancient Grudge that will interact with both Vidalcan Shackles and Batterskull. That one's quite good. Painful Truths I like, just to be able to keep up on cards. You're playing against a blue deck with Snapcaster Mage. You have to make up that advantage. It's dicey with Lightning Bolt, but I think that it's still very good. And then we have Thrun the Last Troll. Thrun the Last Troll is really excellent against blue decks in Modern. You do sometimes line up awkwardly against Batterskull, but the Ancient Grudges and things like that will help you fight that battle.
So Ryan Hipp versus Joshua Carlson for a spot in the top 8. That's what's on the line. So one thing we want to mention, we're doing this is the first time we have done this over on Twitch TV. For those of you guys watching us there, you can come and join the feature match area. We've had subscribers only chat for a long time, and you want to subscribe so you can join in on that. But what we're doing for the first time here at the Milwaukee Open is if you're a subscriber, we are going to have you decide the quarterfinals. So if there's a deck, maybe you're a big fan of Blue Moon, Ryan Hipp, you talked about that Blue Moon community, well, chime in, tell us if he wins, then you want to see him in the top 8, you got to let us know. So what we will have is 30 minutes after the conclusion of this round, we will open voting as to what matchup you want to see once we know the top 8. We'll post the top 8, and then in Twitch chat, you'll be able to live vote, and that will decide where our coverage will begin when we start the top 8.
Yeah, pick the match you want to see. This is a great incentive to subscribe to the channel. I really like that voting feature. You'll want to take advantage of that.
All right, so we talked about Josh Carlson's sideboarding strategies. Let's look over at Ryan Hipp's sideboard. He also has a lot of 1-0s.
Yeah, some 1s, some 2s, a 3. So there's 2 Vandal Blasts, a Magma Spray, a copy of Roast. The Roast I like quite a lot. This is in here for Tarmogoyf exactly, so that'll come into play here. 1 copy of Keranos, God of Storms. This is good in any matchup where you're going big. That'll come in for sure. The extra Batterskull, I like it if we're leaving any artifacts in it at all. You have to overload Ancient Grudge. You're just not good against it, so I like bringing in the extra copy. I like Negate to keep up with Liliana of the Veil. That's one of Carlson's better cards here. Vendilion Click is a great threat to bring in when your opponent has a lot of interactive spells. I like that a lot. And then Relic of Progenitus, 2 copies there. That'll keep Tarmogoyf in check.
What about something like, so you talked to like Negate. Now tell me about Dispel.
So interestingly, one of the instants prominently featured in Jund is Abrupt Decay.
I don't really want to dispel that one.
But yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. Abrupt Decay, of course, can't be countered because it's from the No Fun Allowed cycle from Return to Ravnica. All the spells with this spell cannot be countered. Dispel can't hit Liliana of the Veil. Can't interact with creatures. I'm not a fan of it in this matchup.
So he's going to get ready for game 2. You see a whole slew of matches for top 8 here. We're going to try to get you as many of them as possible. Over in the background there, you have Jory White versus Will Drescher. That's that Burn versus Suicide Zoo matchup we talked about. It's just the bizarrest games you've seen.
If you blink, you'll miss that match.
The question is, you're the Burn player and you look at Lava Spike and then you say, do I want to do this? It's not. I don't.
How fast can I kill you? How fast can you kill me? If I kill you on this pace, does that change the pace at which I could die? What is happening?
Yeah,
oh my God.
It's great. You want to burn them down to 13, but then it's like you want to do the rest of it all like. You want to be like end step 2 bolts, untap 2 more. Okay, that's good. That's good. You never had a window to kill me. You know, it's
if I lava spike you, then on the following turn I can Atarka's command and lightning bolt to kill you. But only a fool would bring a Death Shadow player down to 7.
He's gonna bolt lava spike you back. It's terrible with the creature.
If I drink the wine in front of me,
it's a really crazy matchup.
I'm going to make that reference as many times as I possibly can over the course of my career, by the way.
All right, Hipp versus Carlson. So Carlson will be on the play. Last game, I was saying I thought it looked like the game for Carlson. He had everything he needed. He had the Thoughtseize into the Dark Confidant, followed up with had some good value cards, but then Blood Moon. He took the Blood Moon, and then it came off the top right on time.
Yep.
And then we were done.
Swamp plus Forest, what you need to play Magic in the face of Blood Moon. Even then, it can be hard.
Yeah, it's doable for the Jund deck if they can get their basics. So we're underway. Turn 1, Inquisition of Kozilek off of Overgrown Tomb for Carlson. He's going to try to get those Blood Moons again. There's 3 of them in Ryan's deck, none in his hand. We see Dispel, Serum Vision, Negate, Serum Visions, and Relic of Progenitus. I'm surprised that Dispel is still in the deck right now.
I'm inclined to agree. It can fight over things like Terminate. You can counter half of an Ancient Grudge, but I just don't think it's very good here.
Kolaghan's Command, if you're trying to protect your Batter Skulls, perhaps?
Sure, that's fine.
There's not that much. I can't imagine Joshua takes it.
Considering that we have access to Negate anyway, I really think we're going a little bit overboard with this spell.
Oh, Keranos is the last card here in Ryan's hand. He has those 2 lands. Do you like just taking Serum Visions, maybe? He's going to take Relic of Progenitus.
Yeah, that one would keep Tarmogoyfs in check. If a Tarmogoyf is a turn 2 play, Hipp's hand does just kind of do nothing. He can't interact with that at all.
Hipp draws a second Dispel. Ooh.
This is the other danger of that. In the early game, you just have this Negate 2 Dispel hand.
This is interesting. He has 1 Dispel main, 1 board. So it's not just keeping it in. He actually wants more Dispels in this matchup.
He does. I don't know if it's correct for the way the decks line up.
Serum Visions draws Ryan a Batter Skull. And I'm going to put 2 cards in the bottom. I think he needs a land. So if you took Relic of Progenitus, you're saying we should expect a Tarmogoyf here?
This smells a lot like a Tarmogoyf.
Joshua Carlson fetching here with Wooded Foothills. It's interesting if he gets basic Forest now or whether he gets that dual land.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to fetch basic Forest. It's really a question of how many lands are in his hand. He still needs to find a source of red mana, so Stomping Ground is tempting here.
Basic Forest. All right, let's ensure ourselves against that Blood Moon.
Yeah, I like it.
He still needs the black source. He needs the 1 basic Swamp in his deck. He has 2 basic Swamps, actually. What a treat. And you're absolutely right. Here's Tarmogoyf. We have Artifact, Sorcery, Land. It's already 3/4.
No number of Dispels can interact with a Tarmogoyf on the table.
Yeah.
Or on the stack.
Oh, and Ryan, his draw is Spell Snare. Ooh.
That is just the worst possible timing.
Too late.
That has to feel terrible.
Yeah. Go back over to Carlson. If he's going to try for another Tarmogoyf, he may want to do it pre-combat. Here's a swing with Goyf. It would actually grow Goyf up to 5/6 if Ryan snared it.
Yeah, if it gets countered, it's another card type.
Yeah, here's Dark Confidant. Ryan will snare. So this is a misstep right from Carlton. It's missed damage.
Yeah.
He'll play Raging Ravine and pass.
Yeah, there's really not an incentive to play it post-combat. There's nothing that like taps your creature in light of the information that you cast another creature or anything like that. He knew most of the cards in Hipp's hand.
Yeah, so Tarmogoyf, we'll adjust that die. It's up to a 5/6 now. Well, how the ruling works is the Joshua, now it's actually more than 4/5. Joshua, it's 5/6. We have creature, instant, sorcery, land, artifact. So Ryan, we'll get that life total taken care of, and Josh is going to play a Thrun the Last Troll.
Yeah. You can't use any counter spell to interact with Thrun the Last Troll. 2 dispels and a negate, most certainly not.
Yeah, how about Snapcaster Mage as a blocker? That's no good for anyone.
Yeah, Hipp is in dire straits here.
They're going to check the graveyards. Yeah, instant, sorcery, land, artifact, creature. So it's 5-6, and Ryan should be at 11.
And truthfully, with Hipp missing land drops, it's
None of this matters.
Yeah, drawing different spells wouldn't matter at all in this game. And his deck is also just poorly positioned against Thrun in general.
Here come the value creatures. I actually believe Ryan likes this matchup.
So I playtested this match a little bit. We saw Lido Biala on camera earlier in the tournament. He's one of those local players in the Blue Moon contingent. I played Blue Moon against Jund against him, and I swept him like 5 games to 0 the only time that I played the matchup. I firmly believe that Jund is favored here, but I also believe that a Blue Moon player would think that they're favored.
Inquisition of Kozilek from Joshua shows what the intermediate draws have been. Negate, Dispel, Dispel. Oh, not matching Dispels. I like that. I do like that, actually. Cryptic Command, Batterskull, and Keranos here for Ryan Hipp.
Worldwake Dispel or no Dispel?
Well, he has 1 Worldwake Dispel and one RTR Dispel.
We're halfway there.
These are the ones that were in my box.
I do like, with the different arts, 1 main, 1 side, it helps you remind you, okay, this card needs to go to my sideboard. So we have this this Thoughtseize on the stack here. Hipp had the option to not negate here. He obviously didn't take it. Thoughtseize could take Cryptic Command or Keranos, but Hipp is so far from actually casting these spells that this Thoughtseize almost doesn't matter. Or Inquisition, rather.
Yeah, I mean, so if Hipp needs to draw lands, but this is why it kind of feels like it's locked. If Hipp doesn't draw lands, he loses. If he draws lands, these cards in his hand are not enough to win.
Right.
So does he want lands or not lands, or right?
I think he wants to revisit his sideboarding as we go to game 3.
These dispels seem awful.
Yes.
Swing here. Chump Block of Tarmogoyf, 4 damage. Thrun puts Ryan to 7.
It's worth noting that Ryan also has that Roast in his sideboard to deal with Tarmogoyf, and Tarmogoyf's just a 5/6 already. There's not really many good top decks for Hipp. He's just too far gone in this game.
He draws the island, and then concedes. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's dead on the board. So Josh Carlson evens things up at 1 game apiece. You see Ryan, pulling cards out of the deck.
I hope for Ryan's sake that it's those dispels. I don't think you can mess around trying to fight wars on the stack. Your opponent's going on turn 1 Thoughtseize or Inquisition, turn 2 2-drop. You just have to play on the battlefield. This isn't an attrition matchup in the same way that blue mirrors are. The dispels just don't do enough.
Well, if it turns into an attrition mirror, doesn't that mean Joshua's winning? Isn't that what Joshua wants? Every Jund deck wants to play an attrition mirror. That sounds great.
Sure. And Snapcaster Mage does tip the scale for a lot of blue decks, but you have to have the spells that matter. You can have any number of dispels you want against a lot of the spells that Joshua's drawing.
The backup table, Jory White defeats Will Drescher. So Jory White, your defending SCG Milwaukee champion, he is into the top 8 with that win. For Will Drescher, the Death Shadow player, it's going to come down to some tiebreakers. It's going to be real interesting for him. We'll see how this works.
Yeah. Wait on some other results, find out exactly how things break.
He had very poor breakers. My guess is that Will Drescher is also in the top 8. He'll just be the 7th or 8th seed.
Well, I'm rooting for you, Willie. We'll see if we can get there. For Jory White, great work. Congratulations. Looking to defend. Keep that trophy here in Milwaukee, or, in his possession anyway.
Burn player, red player, I like his style.
I actually don't know what it's like to defend the territory that you won your trophy
in. When we
in.
come back to Des Moines, you'll be there.
For those unaware, I am the reigning Legacy Open champion of Des Moines. Come at me, Iowa.
2012? 2012, I believe.
Don't remind me how long ago it was.
I was covering the event.
That's true. It was you and Jacob Van Lunen.
All right, the players are getting ready for game number 3. We actually have a Star City Games t-shirt sale. If you see sometimes your favorite pros, like Tom Ross, he's one of my favorite pros, wearing these shirts. So you actually can get these at StarCityGames.com. They're the official shirts. A good 50/50 Colin Poly Blend, printed in the United States. You can find this over at starcitygames.com/apparel.
You see Tom Ross looking excellent in that T-shirt, repping his brand.
Gotta have a leather jacket over it. I like.
Well, he puts on the leather jacket when it's time for business.
Oh, okay.
When it's business time, as it were.
I gotcha.
And when you see him walking around, he actually has the leather jacket tied around his waist most of the time.
You're just destroying my image.
I hope that nobody thinks I'm being serious. That is not close to a reasonable thing. I don't even know if you can successfully tie a leather jacket. It seems like it would just slip out of the knot immediately.
Yeah, I was like, you can't do that. You can't tie your leather jacket around a waist. I do it with my hoodie sometimes, but
yeah.
I don't think I do it with a leather jacket. 7-on-7, game 3. You saw Ryan Hipp with Blue Moon carry game 1 off the back of a turn 3 Blood Moon. Post board, it was Joshua Carlson thought-seizing his way through Ryan's hand and beating him up with Tarmogoyfs.
Yeah, let's see if we can see a little bit longer of an affair for this game 3.
Blue Moon winning the Blue Moon way, Jund winning the Jund way.
Makes sense.
I just all right. Both players on 7. We are a go for game 3. For Ryan, it is Misty Rainforest, no Blood Moon. Not in his opener. It's all blue cards and lands. He's got to like that. We'll go to Carlson. Will it be a Thoughtseize again? Oh, I expect so.
Basic swamp.
Yep.
Like it a lot.
He knows.
This is coming from somebody that just doesn't like basic lands, is just smart in this matchup.
So here's the Thoughtseize. We see Spell Snare, Snapcaster Mage, Batterskull, Cryptic Command, and 2 lands.
Frequently, when there's a Snapcaster Mage and spells, it's just correct to take the Snapcaster Mage.
The thing is that Ryan's hand, actually, if you take the Spell Snare, has no early interaction here, right? He has an Ambush Viper on turn 2, and...
Yes. If there's just 1 2-drop in Carlson's hand, particularly if it's Dark Confidant, I love going for the Spell Snare.
All right, he's gone for the Snare, so he'll have an opportunity to resolve a 2-drop. What do you think? If you could have Tarmogoyf or Dark Confidant, which would you choose here?
Give me Bob every time in this game with that hand. I want to be able to draw enough cards to keep up with that eventual Cryptic Command, the Snapcaster Mage, and have an answer to the Batterskull.
It's because Ryan can't actually, he can't remove the Dark Confidant, so it might just not be just 1 card, it might be 2 or 3. Ryan's pick up another Snapcaster Mage, he'll play Island and pass the turn. So next turn he'll have Snare up, that could work. We see another fetch for Carlson, another Verdant Catacombs. Is he going to get the Forest? Just no Blood Moon, no Blood Moon, no Blood Moon.
I would be surprised to see not Forest here.
No Blood Moon. I mean, maybe he needs the red mana source. Yeah, both basics. Joshua will have all 3 colors this game.
And this significantly impacts just the overall power level of Hipp's deck from this point.
No Dark Confidant, but it will be Tarmogoyf, and it looks like that will resolve. It's currently a 3/4, sorcery, instant, and land in graveyards.
Okay, Tarmogoyf's still good. I believe I would prefer Bob, but this is a very good start.
Well, Ryan top decked Lightning Bolt for the turn, so I really like Tarmogoyf now.
Yeah, that's much better. If I were clairvoyant, I'd have made that pick.
But Ryan does have enough lands to keep that Cryptic Command up, so Josh will need to do work.
Yeah, won't have access to it on this turn, but after the next turn.
Tarmogoyf attacks. He drew Liliana of the Veil this turn. I like, that's so good,
that's
right?
Superb.
Because Ryan's sitting here on Lightning Bolt, Snapcaster Mage, Spell Snare. It's like, Now, that means Ryan could kill the Liliana.
Yes.
But not easily.
He has to commit heavily to it, and that will grow the Tarmogoyf.
It looks like Ryan, okay, he's before blocks, he's going to fetch for an island. Perhaps a Snapcaster and Lightning Bolt to trade with the Tarmogoyf is going to happen here.
That's a very aggressive line. I would not make that play.
Well, he's got to kill it, right? Here's Snapcaster Mage. It'll give flashback to Spell Snare. Yeah, it's blocking the Goyf. It goes into the graveyard. By the way, Goyf grows now up to a 4/5 because creature's in the yard. If Ryan tries to bolt it, no, there's no way Josh can sneak an extra card type into the yard.
No.
That would be disgusting.
So if Hipp showed a little more patience here. Okay, so there's no second main phase Liliana. That's huge for Ryan Hipp. If that came down
Ravine
with Ryan playing that way, that would punish him severely for making that block.
You see a frustration from Ryan. He drew, did not hit a land drop, and was forced to pass the turn back. His board, wow. for Joshua Carlson. He's going to play Dark Confidant. Now we know he knows about, well, he doesn't know about the second Snapcaster Mage in Ryan's hand.
Yep.
Okay, so he's caught off guard by this one. Yep, Snapcaster Spell Snare. There goes the Bob. And Blackcleave Cliffs pass. That's why he didn't go for the Liliana. And for Ryan, it's Remand that's the draw. Still missing that fourth land. Now, if he hits the fourth land for Cryptic, Ryan's actually might be ahead here.
Yeah, that would be a really big swing. Notably, flashing back the Spell Snare against Dark Confidant means that a future Snapcaster Mage won't be able to Spell Snare a Tarmogoyf. So I would have liked
hit the Bolt?
Yeah, I would have used Bolt personally there.
It's Thrun the last troll for Carlson and a land. He passes. Fourth land for Ryan. He'll pass the turn.
Okay.
Josh will crack a fetch land.
He's made it to Cryptic Command.
Ryan's hand, Remand, Batterskull, Cryptic Command. He has one other. This one's close, but Thrun the Last Troll is a beating for this Blue Moon deck.
Yeah, just modern blue decks. Thrun is very well positioned against them.
He can block it with the Germ tokens. Batterskull is kind of his answer. But there's worries. If he taps out for that Batterskull, Joshua, I believe, has a Maelstrom Pulse in hand.
Right.
And he'll get the Batterskull.
Yeah, could be Maelstrom Pulse, could be Ancient Grudge, could be Kolagon's Command. There's a lot of danger with that.
So does Ryan wait until 8 mana to play Batterskull? Is that reasonable?
He's at 18 yet. He has some time. The Cryptic Command will buy him time as well.
We'll see.
He'll need to find lands off the top, though. That does heighten the pressure.
An activation of Raging Ravine for Joshua Carlson. He'll go to attacks. We'll see if Ryan wants to tap team. He does not. Here comes the Ravine. Ryan's going to bounce Raging Ravine, draw a card. Okay. The draw is basic island. Ryan takes 4, goes to 14. Now remember, Joshua can replay that Raging Ravine. He'll do that and pass the turn.
Yeah, the bouncing the Raging Ravine keeps Joshua 1 land lighter, but it actually loses Hipp 4 life as opposed to just tapping the team.
A swing of Snapcaster Mage puts Joshua down to 11. Now, Ryan actually is pulling even in this race. He'll play Batterskull, make a Germ token, pass the turn.
This will put Carlson to the test.
Does he have the pulse? If he does, it's not. It's great here. But if he can't blow up that Batterskull, it's real bad news. Here's Inquisition of Kozilek from Carlson. It's second Batterskull in Ryan's hand.
Okay, that's good news for Hipp. So can Carlson deal with the first one?
These Batterskulls, they are the win condition of Blue Moon. He will Maelstrom Pulse away the first Batterskull. Swing a Thrun, Ryan goes to 10, but we know Ryan has another Batterskull. How is Carlson going to deal? He'll play a Blood Crypt pass, 2 cards left.
Carlson could have got greedy and banked on Hipp committing the second Batterskull. I really like not taking that line.
Yeah, you're just so punished. Here's the second Batterskull from Hipp. Making another Germ, Snapcaster swings, Joshua down to 9. It's 10-9, the game fiendishly close here. But Joshua could just, kill creatures. You see him draw Liliana of the Veil here. He has 4 black mana. He can make Ryan sacrifice everything.
Yeah, he has enough mana to cast Liliana of the Veil and leave up mana to regenerate Thrun. That's an option available.
-2 for Liliana. She goes down to 1. Another Liliana gets rid of his own Liliana. Ryan sacrificed the Germ token and Thrun bashes in. Hipp is down to 6.
Hipp still 2 lands off of returning and casting the Batterskull on the same turn.
His hand is Negate. He draws Serum Visions. He's to the test. There's a Raging Ravine in play. It's lethal next turn. What does Ryan draw? Keranos, God of Storms. That's not going to do it. No. He taps out for Keranos. He's dead.
The Negate in hand not doing any good either.
He's dead on the board. So he has to what? If he plays Keranos, then Joshua knows he's won. So Ryan has to hold up mana to keep Joshua guessing.
Yeah, he has to try to punk him out. But what is he even threatening? Cryptic
Lightning
Command
Bolt.
to tap your creature.
For the Ravine.
Yeah. I think there's nothing that's going to stop Carlson from getting aggressive here. You play to your outs.
He's thinking. He can't. He knows the right place to tap 5, but he can't do it. He's going to play it and hope that Joshua doesn't see that he's dead on board.
Yeah, Keranos has a power and toughness in its corner. It's not a creature in this board state, but maybe it'll psych Carlson out.
I mean, Joshua can get Ryan's last card and have Ryan tapped out empty-handed and swinging for lethal. It's there.
Top 8 on the line. Carlson takes his time, sees
Raging
the line.
Ravine. Joshua Carlson, congratulations with John getting his way with the win here, hoping to make it into the top 8.
There's always at least one Jun. You just can't keep that deck down. Great work by Joshua Carlson. Good run by Ryan Hipp. Not quite good enough for this event.
So for Joshua Carlson, and actually we need to talk a little bit of standings math for a second here. Joshua Carlson entered this round at 11th place.